Amarjit Sada, the chilling tale of the world's youngest serial killer. In the quiet village of Musahar, Bihar, India, a disturbing tale unfolded that defies comprehension. Amarjit Sada, just 8 years old, holds the grim distinction of being the youngest serial killer in recorded history. This chilling narrative invites us to confront a haunting question: how could a child, the very symbol of innocence, embody such unfathomable darkness? A village of shadows. Born in 1998 to a family of laborers, Amarjit Sada's early life was unremarkable to outsiders. Musahar, a village steeped in poverty, provided a backdrop of struggle and resilience. Yet, behind the modest homes and winding dirt paths, a sinister story began to take shape. Sada was an unusual child. Quiet, withdrawn, and friendless. He spent his days climbing trees and exploring the edges of his world. His family, preoccupied with the toil of daily survival, dismissed his aloofness. Little did they know, beneath the boyish grin lurked an unimaginable threat. The first victim. The darkness surfaced for the first time in 2006 when Amarjit's aunt visited with her 6-year-old daughter. One fateful afternoon, the women left to buy vegetables, entrusting the children to Amarjit's care. When they returned, the unthinkable had occurred. Amarjit, seemingly without emotion, confessed to killing his 9-month-old cousin. He had pinched and slapped her before choking and strangling her, ultimately bashing her head with a stone in a nearby forest. Astonishingly, the family concealed his crime, brushing it off as a tragedy best kept within their walls. "It's a family matter," they said, shielding the boy from any consequences. This silence would prove deadly. Escalation. Months later, the horrors escalated. Amarjit's next victim was even closer, his own 8-month-old sister. As his parents slept on a chilly winter afternoon, he lifted the infant from her crib and strangled her without hesitation. His mother awoke to find her lifeless child in her arms, the truth dawning on her in a moment of devastating clarity. And yet, the family remained silent. Poverty, shame, and disbelief forged a pact of secrecy that would pave the way for more tragedy. The crime that shattered silence. The turning point came in 2007 at a local primary school. A mother left her 6-month-old daughter, Khushbu, in the care of staff. When she returned, the baby was gone. Panic ensued, and within hours, Amarjit Sada's name surfaced. Under police questioning, the boy confessed calmly, even casually. "She was sleeping at school," he said. "So I took her a little away and killed her with a stone." His lack of remorse stunned investigators. When asked about his actions, he smiled, asking for biscuits before leading police to the burial site. The haunting image of an 8-year-old calmly recounting murders chilled even the most hardened officers. His casual demeanor in the courtroom, smiling, almost playful, shattered any lingering illusions of innocence. Justice for a child killer. At just 8 years old, Amarjit Sada was deemed too young for traditional punishment under Indian law. Instead, he was institutionalized, receiving treatment and rehabilitation. In 2016, at age 18, he was released under a new identity. His current whereabouts remain unknown, a fact that unsettles any. Edmund Kemper, the twisted mind of the co-ed killer. In the serene streets of Santa Cruz, California, during the early 1970s, a wave of terror spread through the community. Young women were vanishing, their disappearances seemingly unconnected. The truth, however, was far darker than anyone could imagine. A shadow cast by Edmund Kemper, the man who would later be infamously dubbed the Co-Ed Killer. Kemper's story is one of unsettling complexity, marked by a blend of intellect, charm, and unimaginable brutality. How could such a figure emerge? And what drives someone to commit atrocities so chilling that even seasoned investigators were left horrified? A troubled beginning. Edmund Emil Kemper III was born on December 18, 1948, in Burbank, California, into a fractured family. His childhood was a crucible of neglect and abuse. Towering over his peers, Kemper was awkward and ostracized. His mother, Klarnell Strandberg, loomed large in his life, a domineering and abusive presence who belittled and humiliated him at every turn. She once forced him to sleep in a windowless basement, fearing he might harm his sisters. These early years were marked by disturbing behaviors. By age 10, Kemper displayed a fascination with death, beginning with acts of animal cruelty. His first trophy was the head of a family cat he decapitated and mounted on a spike. The darkness within him was stirring. The first killings. At just 15 years old, Kemper's violent impulses boiled over. On August 27, 1964, during an argument with his grandmother, Matilda Kemper, he retrieved a rifle and fatally shot her in the head. When his grandfather returned home, Kemper killed him as well. Later, he explained, "I just wanted to see what it felt like to kill Grandma." Declared mentally ill, Kemper was sent to Atascadero State Hospital, a maximum security facility for mentally disturbed offenders. There, his high intelligence, he had an IQ of 145, allowed him to manipulate psychiatrists and learn from other offenders. Diagnosed as a paranoid schizophrenic, Kemper convinced authorities he was rehabilitated. He was released on his 21st birthday, against the advice of hospital staff. The Co-Ed Killer emerges. Despite attempts to reintegrate into society, Kemper's release only masked the brewing storm. Living with his mother in Santa Cruz, his resentment toward her intensified. She continued to berate him, fueling his deep-seated rage. Between May 1972 and April 1973, Kemper embarked on a killing spree that would leave the nation reeling. His targets were young women, often hitchhikers, whom he lured into his car with his amiable demeanor. Once isolated, he unleashed unimaginable violence, strangling, stabbing, and eventually dismembering his victims. He took gruesome trophies, including severed heads, which he used in macabre rituals. Kemper's intelligence allowed him to evade suspicion. He even frequented a local bar where police officers gathered, discussing their ongoing investigations into the disappearances, matricide, and surrender. In April 1973, Kemper's rage reached its zenith. He turned his fury toward the source of his lifelong torment, his mother. In a chilling final act, he bludgeoned Klarnell to death while she slept. He decapitated her and placed her head on a shelf, reportedly screaming at it for hours. He later described it as the ultimate revenge, silencing her forever. Kemper didn't stop there. He invited his mother's friend over, murdering her to create a diversion and obscure his crime. However, the weight of his actions became unbearable. Days later, he drove to Colorado, where he called the police and confessed to the murders. A killer's confession. When authorities arrested Kemper, they were stunned by his cooperative demeanor. He confessed to 10 murders in painstaking detail, showing no remorse. His chilling candor and self-awareness fascinated investigators and psychiatrists. "I was the only one in the world who knew what I was doing," Kemper said during an interview. "At one point, I got so mad, I killed everybody." The legacy of Edmund Kemper. In 1973, Kemper was convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now incarcerated at California Medical Facility, he has declined parole multiple times, stating that he is safer behind bars. Kemper's story leaves an indelible mark on criminal psychology. His ability to blend intellect with monstrous actions creates a paradox that continues to intrigue and terrify. To this day, he remains a figure of both horror and fascination, a grim reminder of the human mind's darkest potential. In his own words, "I'm a walking time bomb. I didn't want to be this way. But here I am."